Hello, everyone. I'm Joanne Binford, and welcome to Binford Chronicles. Trump has been in office for 120 days. Pam Bondi, wow, USAG, Americans are still waiting for arrests to be made. And what about Dan Bongino, FBI Deputy Director, and Kash Patel, FBI Director? They say Epstein committed suicide. Too many are not buying into it, not at all. And what about Kristi Noem, DHS Secretary? She's been marked by intense scrutiny over her immigration policies, alleged defiance of court orders, and real ID stance. And my favorite, Pete Hegseth, U.S. Secretary of Defense. I love him. I love the job he's doing. His tenure is marked by his aggressive military reforms, bringing us back to a military with pride and strength. Well, folks, election season is quickly approaching for 2026. It's time for you and me to get familiar with the candidates running for office. Do you feel like elections are being run by the lobbyists or the PACs? Do you feel like the grassroots candidates aren't getting a fair shake in the competition? Well, Binford Chronicles is here to open the floor for any conservative candidate in the race. Stick around for our returning candidate guest, Jason Voelz, who's running for Florida State Senate District 8 seat, and we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Your candidate for Florida State Senate. We're here today at Veteran Memorial Park here in Deltona, Florida. What I would like to discuss with you today is a recent Volusia County meeting where they discussed having Volusia the most veteran-friendly county in the state. Are you aware that 12% of Volusia population alone are veterans? Of that, 10% own a home. Currently, a disabled veteran with 10% or more disability receives a $5,000 tax exemption off their assessed value. A disabled veteran with 100% disability receives a $5,000 tax credit. It's been over 3 months with no real solutions or further discussions. I challenged the county council to lower or eliminate all county taxes for our veterans. If they can't do it, it will be my top priority as your senator at the state level. From my family to yours, have a fun and safe Memorial Day weekend. And let's never forget those who serve. I'm Jason Voelz, your candidate for Florida State Senate.
Welcome back, Jason. How have you been?
Hey, Joanne, thanks for having me back.
Yes, very good to have you back. Tell us what's going on. And I know your focus is the veterans. I love that.
Yes. Been staying busy, polishing my public speaking skills, and just focusing on getting the message out.
Yeah. So I know you want to focus on veterans and the taxes, city taxes, and tell us how you feel you're going to accomplish that.
As far as lowering taxes at the state level?
Yeah.
Well, I would like for any and all counties in the state to take charge and lower their taxes to begin with. But you see a push at the state level right now trying to eliminate property taxes altogether.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's going to happen, but lowering them, there's a strong possibility that's going to happen. So at least the governor's pushing that he's not going to sign off on a budget without that in there. So I see at least lowering the property taxes a little bit.
Yeah, I remember you talking about looking into a consumption tax last time we were talking. Tell us a little about that.
So I was reading an article, I believe it was floridapolicy.org. If we were to eliminate property taxes altogether, we would essentially have to double our sales tax to 12%. We're essentially going to have to figure out a way to raise at least $40 billion worth of property taxes. Well, how do you do that? And unfortunately, Tallahassee isn't really giving us guidance on how they plan on doing that. For them to give us the beliefs that foreigners or visitors coming here are going to pay for that is irresponsible. I I believe. And if that was the case, they should go ahead and just implement that tax policy and just go ahead and start it anyways. And if it works, we can eliminate the property taxes down the road. But realistically, a consumption tax is really the only option I see. Either that or a tangible tax, which we got rid of in, I think, 2006 here in Florida. But that's still not going to raise enough to cover the difference of the 43 billion, whatever we need to raise for property taxes.
Mm. Well, tell us what's going on with education in Volusia County and how that affects the rest of Florida and your insights on education.
Well, District 8 does cover Brevard County and Volusia. Those two school districts combined have a budget of around $3 billion. I do know Volusia has a shortfall of 25 million this year, going into next school year.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have to figure out a way to raise that money as well. As Washington begins to deregulate, the state's going to have to pick up the responsibilities of what Washington used to take care of. So we're going to have to figure out, what, how our school districts are going to function and how the money's going to be distributed down to the local level. And you need somebody up there that can negotiate and make sure our schools are funded correctly at the state level. That's going to be a very important.
Well, do you think that
task.
the state is still going to get federal funds, but it's going to go to the state rather than to the schools? So the state manages it that way, which is probably better because every state is a federalist state and they can decide how those things are run, rather than the school districts. If the federal government under like Biden wanted to do all this DEI and transgender stuff, now the schools were worried about losing funding for that. But now as a state, it gets to run more the way the people in that state want their education system run.
Correct. So a lot of the strings are going to be cut. It's going to be on the states to determine what programs are important for their local school districts or how they want to fund certain things. Now, there are some programs at the federal level that are good. They're not all bad. So I would like to see some of those programs be implemented for their, at the state level.
Can you give us examples of those programs that you're referring to?
Yeah, there's a program called Upward Bound, which is geared towards first generation children that have never attended college, or low income children that might have a hard time going to college. I was a part of that program. I think it was my 10th grade year. So I went to college, Southern Louisiana University in Louisiana, for 6 weeks, and I took college classes, and it was an amazing program. It really was effective. I met a lot of great people, and it really did mold me going into, after high school.
What county was that in? Where was your high school at? Where was that?
Texas, in Dallas.
Okay.
But a federal program, and I think there's over 7,000 schools, universities that participate.
Well, we have Upward Bound here in Indian River County as well. Yes. My daughter, because I'm a single mom at the time, my daughter applied for it, but she didn't want to do the Upward Bound because she just felt like she didn't need. She was like, this is really for people that really need it. We're kind of making ends meet, so let's just keep doing that and just give the seat up to somebody else that is in more dire straits than we were. So
that's respectable. It is a good program though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm familiar with Upward Bound. Do you know of any other federal programs that you would like to see still supported?
There's some special needs that they sponsor, and some food programs and stuff like that. As far as VPK, I know that's a state level program. That's important. We need to make sure that stays funded and free, because it's important for young families, and making sure that families can, instead of paying for childcare, they can put their children in actual school while they go to work. I know that was a big factor with my kids being young. Instead of putting them in daycare and having to pay for that, it actually is more beneficial putting them in a school. So those are things that would be very important that we make sure that continue to stay funded and free.
Yeah, I think at the state level, we should have early education. I mean, if you kids are so they're like sponges and they learn rapidly, but you have to have a disciplined environment. And unfortunately, in education, because we're public schools, it's not as disciplined. I mean, you can go to China, and I know it's a communist country, but when it comes to education, their youngest kids are it's amazing. Even just the athletic things, the
Yeah.
skill builders that they put in place for families to do at home. I mean, I've seen videos of them and I'm like, why don't we do that with our kids here? You know, why don't we implement those? Because when a kid's motor skills are all working at age 4 and 5, all of those neurons are going, and it creates a more disciplined, fun, creative way of learning where kids like learning, you know?
Well, and to that point, schools are different overseas. They're different from state to state. They're even
Hmm.
different from county to county, and even in the same city. So there's a lot of differences in areas that we live in. A lot of different needs, a lot of different wants. School choice is very important, and it's been working very well here. But it's the homeschooling has kind of hurt our public school system a
How
little
do you
bit as
how
far
do
as
you see
the
that?
funding goes. Well, the school districts get money based off of attendance and the kids that are enrolled in the school.
Mhm.
If we have children learning from home, which they should, that kind of hurts the school district. So it hurts how they're budgeting for the next school year. Uh, and I get it. It's a balancing act, and that this is still kind of new, and they're learning the process here. So, but I still think learning at home and homeschooling is a viable option for some students here in the state.
Yeah, homeschool kids, if when you've got serious parents that are into homeschooling and they have the homeschooling program has expanded immensely from back from the 90s when people just started doing it at home. Now they have like homeschool groups, they go on field trips, the parents all pitch in it, and those kids graduate early and they do
Well,
very
if I can take college classes from home and get a college education from home, I believe our students can do the same thing if we have programs in place to help the parents where they can choose their own curriculum to teach their own kids and choose what is best for them and how they learn.
well, it used to be a long time ago they had Montessori schools. Are you familiar with the Montessori schools? Those are great schools
I'm
because
not familiar, but I've heard the name. Yes.
yes, they had we were in Orlando in the late 80s, early 90s, and there were several Montessori schools there, and there was a waiting list for them. And the great thing about the Montessori
Mhm.
school is you have a 7-year-old that can pick up on a math skill and be working at a 9-year-old's pace. They can be doing that work and still be doing their other second grade work where they're equally level there. But in the areas that they excel, they were able to progress and not just sit back and stay in that class because that's the grade level they're in. Montessori schools were really cool. I don't hear of them much anymore. I hear of the magnet schools, you know, more so than I hear of Montessori, but that's also really a good I would like to see those come back.
Mhm. And as we progress, I think we still need to change up how we teach our children. And the ways I learned are not the same ways my kids need to learn. And as we progress into AI and technology and everything else, they're going to be left behind if we don't really start picking up the pace in those areas.
Well, how are your schools doing there in Volusia County in your district? Are your students on graduating at 90% literacy? What is the graduation literacy rate?
My local high school is Deltona High, and it is rated an A school. The percentage, I take that with a grain of salt, because I know how schools can move students around, and I don't agree with how that's done sometimes, but I think they had 100% graduation, or close to it. So
100% literacy rate at graduation. I mean, are they graduating at college level reading and math and science and all that stuff? Or
I don't know the literacy rate, but to have 100% graduation rate, something's off there, right? There's usually somebody that falls through the cracks and doesn't make graduation, but they're hitting 100%,
and that's why parents have been pulling their kids out of schools, because even the national grade for schools has been lowered, so that, I mean, our school is at the top. Our school district is at the top, and they're reading numbers like 65%. Well, hey, we increased 10% and we're now at 69%. And it just blows my mind. I'm glad my kids are out of school.
Well, the problem I have, or at least this last legislation session, was they lowered the standard to graduate. We shouldn't be lowering the standard. I get you're trying to help certain students. There's different ways to do it, but lowering the standards for everybody, you got to have standards. I don't know. I didn't understand the reason behind that, but I don't see Tallahassee really taking the education the direction I would like to see it go.
Yeah, I think with the homeschools being able to get funding, in the future, I don't know if they're actually getting funding yet, but getting funding in the future, because right now, I don't know about your schools, but we lost over 1,000 kids in our school district to homeschooling. And that really threw the superintendent into overdrive. And that's what schools should be. Schools should be competitive. It's like, these are your clients. These are your customers. And if you're not educating them at the highest ability, and you're not being successful, then, hey, I want to take my kids somewhere else. Why do I got to stay here? Or I want to put them on Florida virtual school, or I want to homeschool them. And that's what brings a competition to the schools, instead of the schools just doing what they do and accepting what they do. Now they're looking and saying, why are we losing kids? What kind of education? We're opening up a classical school here in Indian River County. Has your county been talking about classical school as well?
No, there hasn't really been any discussions as far as charter schools go, or any type of special schools. I do know that we have one or two in Volusia that are recognized in the state, and a lot of people try to fight for positions there. There are a wait list there as well. So maybe we need to expand on that. But there is a shortfall of teachers in Volusia and Brevard. That's a big issue, right? So if we had the quality and not understaffed, I think we would have a different outcome.
Yeah. So let's take a break, and we'll be back after this break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about insurance and flooding. How's that? All right. So thank you, everybody. Stick around. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back with Jason.
In 2004, I answered the call for service on the battlefields of Iraq. In 2010, I answered the call to service on the streets of Texas. Again, I answered the call to service in the community I grew up in. The voices in Tallahassee being heard are not ours. They're the voices of special interest and lobbyists. It is time to return the people's voice to the seat of our government. I'm Jason Voelz, and I'm ready to take on Tallahassee. I'm not a part of the establishment elite. I'm not bought and paid for by Florida's power brokers. Join me, and we can mold the people's message to be brought to the Florida State Senate. Our rights are not something to be bartered with or compromised. Not unlike what we're seeing in DC, I want to know where Florida tax dollars are being spent. It's time for our rights to be respected in Tallahassee and our voices heard. I'm Jason Voelz, and I'm on my way to Tallahassee.
Welcome back, Jason.
Thank you.
Lost my voice there for a minute. Great commercial for you going to Tallahassee. And, we're getting ready to touch on this topic of insurance. It's killing us in Florida.
It's a hot topic, always has been. And as a small business owner, I sold my insurance business in 2018. I understand the insurance crisis. It didn't happen overnight. It's been going on for a long time, and the problems we see have been self-inflicted. It really has been. So this is going to be one of my top things that we tackle when I get up there. So it's a complex situation, but it's a simple fix. The reason I say simple is this time next year, I will be coming out and telling everybody what my plan is. I don't like sitting on it, but go ahead.
Yeah, because everybody's dealing with skyrocketing premiums. It's what is it gone up like 72% in the last 5 years?
And this goes back to, you tie it in with taxes that, people see their rents going up. Well, if your rent goes up $100, $200, that's going to other people. It's not going to the owners. That's the reality of why your rent's so high. The owners aren't only going to be able to collect so much, to be honest with you. But when your taxes double, triple, because there's no homestead exemptions for landlords. And then you have insurance rates that are just through the roof half the time. It's making it very hard to manage properties for your tenants and keep rents reasonable, on top of just owning your own home. Luckily, if you own your own home and you live in it, thank God we have homestead exemptions where there's a cap to your taxes going up. And that's the only thing that's really saving you. Insurance, there's no ceiling to the insurance. So I have a solid plan for that, and
we need something, because insurance companies just don't want to come here anymore. I think the last one I'm on is Citizens. I remember State Farm. I used to love State Farm. They're gone, Geico. Jesus, we had so many insurance companies. I can't even remember them all, but Citizens seems to be the last one on the list so far, and their premiums went up.
Well, two things. Effective January, when you come up on renewal, moving forward with Citizens, you need flood insurance. So your policy is going to go up a minimum $600, if not more, minimum, right out the gate. And that's unfortunate. They shouldn't have passed that. They shouldn't have done that. And to be honest with you, Citizens, that would be the first thing I cut. Again, the plan I have is it would be Citizens 2.0. We can name it a dozen different things, but what you have here is insurance companies coming in. There's only
Mhm.
a handful of insurance companies in the U.S. They'll make a sister company. They'll come in. They'll write all the policies they can. They have to pay mama company
Mhm.
part of their revenue. They go solvent. They bail out and they hand over the policies to Citizens. Well, Citizens is the dumping yard for these companies. They're making money. Don't let them fool you. They're making money. But my policy or my plan is to bring more companies here. I have an amazing plan to get that done. So there's going to be a lot of competition. It's going to be a little more affordable. You're not going to have to replace stuff that isn't broken, because they're good at figuring out, hey, let's figure, they got to replace this or we get to cancel them.
Mhm.
That shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, it's hard, because you own your home, but you got to have insurance on it,
Yeah.
and especially if you have a mortgage, and you still want insurance on it if you've paid off your mortgage, but it's so expensive,
Now, I am a realtor. That's my full-time job. I just had a client that was paying $6,500 a year on property insurance through Citizens because of his roof. That was it. I was like, you might as well replace the roof. And we did right before we sold it. We sold it on Friday. And the new insurance premium was $1,200. Now, imagine the difference on that. That's insane.
That's what we're trying to do right now. We have all hurricane windows except for our backyard screen door, and that's like a $10,000 purchase. Replace your backyard screen door to make it hurricane, and then once that door is done, our house will be hurricane window approved. But we're like, we just spent like a bunch of money on the windows, and now you're telling me the screen door needs to be replaced, and that is almost half of, it's close to almost what we spent on our windows.
Yeah, it's
for just the sliding glass doors. It's insane. I'm like,
welcome to Florida.
it makes home ownership so difficult,
It does, yes.
just to keep up your home and have a home. And now with the inflation and interest rates, it's even harder for these families out there. It's really a challenge.
Imagine if we didn't have property taxes, the influx of people coming here, running away and from their high tax states, it would be insane. So,
well, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, yes, we are.
With everybody moving here, they're having to increase taxes. They just turned our garbage pickup into an enterprise, so now it goes on our ad valorem. And I'm like, okay, there goes another property tax. Instead of you deciding to take your trash to the dump yourself for free.
There's no cap on that. They can raise that up wherever they need to. So
now you got to pay for it on your taxes. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the other candidates are saying and what's going on, and we've got to compare all of our candidates. We've got to find the best grassroots candidates. How's your campaign going so far?
It's going well. It's doing well. I've surrounded myself with a lot of great people, and I'm learning a lot of different techniques, I guess you say, or different things about politics that I wasn't aware of before. It's only making, I think, since I'm in this race, obviously I'm a little biased here, but it's only making this seat better, right? Because somebody's going to have to work for it. Somebody's going to have to earn this seat. So you got 4 capable people running, and may the best person win. So,
are you getting real familiar with the GOP, the Republican parties there in your location, in your areas, going to their events, meeting them, seeing how their politics work, and all that stuff? Are you guys going to have like a grassroots poll? We had one. I forget what it's called. Is it called a grassroots poll? It's just like a public poll. They have an event and everybody comes and they vote. They have it all set up. The Republican Party in Melbourne did it. It was the first time I ever went to one last year. And it was really a lot of fun. They had food vendors there. All the candidates running for Senate were there, and they all got on stage and spoke. And it was the Melbourne Republican Party that put it on. And I thought what is it? It's a grass poll. I forget what it was called.
I've not heard that, but what a great idea! What a great concept! It gives us a better idea of where we are and where we need to improve. I'm not the most perfect person in the world, but I do believe my intentions and my heart's in the right spot. So, I'm sure everybody's is. Nobody wakes up and says, I want to do this and be bad. Hopefully not. But
what I learned about you is you did sign language.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I was.
Do you still remember it?
I know some things I can definitely spell. If you don't use it, you lose it. But I took 3 years of it in high school. I was the ASL president. We did a lot for the deaf community. They had a lot of great things. We went on a bunch of field trips, met a lot of great people. It was a lot of fun.
Liberty Warrior just put it out there. We have straw polls at the Hobnobs. Yes. Thank you.
There it is. Yeah.
Thank you, Liberty Warrior. I love those. I really want to see more of those going on. It brings everybody together. But thank you for your, your service in law enforcement, because last time we were on, you were talking about how a drunk driver hit you while you were on duty, and you pretty much died, and they brought you back to life.
Yeah. Well, I'm here for a reason. I am lucky to be here, sitting here. I've had 14 near-death experiences, the 14th being the most severe. And when the accident did take place, luckily my partner was there to get EMS there as quickly as he could. But there was an off-duty paramedic on his way home, seen the accident and stopped, and he was pretty crucial in bringing me back. So I don't know how that aligns of being lucky, but I'm blessed. So
Jason, did you see anything? Do you remember anything? Was it just blackness, and then you woke up and you were like, what happened?
Well, I was arresting a young lady for drunk driving. I put her in the back of my car. I closed the door, and I was going to get into the driver's seat, and that's all I remember. I remember waking up 4 days later, asking where we were going to go eat lunch. But yeah, I don't remember anything. Apparently, I was at some point to and from a conscious and able to answer questions, but I don't remember that. They put you in some kind of coma, or
so that
give you a
heal.
Nice, give you enough drugs to keep you comfortable, I should say.
Yeah, it's probably because if you were awake at all, you would have been in so much pain that your body just would be stressing out. That when they do that when you're really critical, and your body just needs to shut down and heal. Because if you're awake and you're feeling, and oh my God, imagine all that stress that you have to go through just to heal.
Can't kill you, so they want to make sure your body doesn't go into shock, obviously too. So yeah, it was pretty severe. I'm very lucky to be here. I'm fortunate that I had the right people in the right spot at the right time. So, but yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jason, for joining us today again. And we look forward to having you on again as the campaign moves forward. Tell us how things are going. See if you guys end up doing a straw poll like our Liberty Warrior helped me out there. I loved going to it. I hear another straw poll's coming up. I want to be there. It's so much fun, and people have all their signs and their T-shirts, and Liberty was telling us his are rigged, and sometimes, a lot of people say that with the parties, they're like, it's money, it's PACs, it's favorites. So you have a tough race ahead of you because there's a lot of people in the race like that.
It shouldn't be easy. This is an important seat, and I'm here to do the work. I'm here to earn the vote, and it shouldn't be easy for anybody. This is an important, any type of government official shouldn't be easy, but especially this one.
Are you keeping track of any of the Florida legislation before we go? Like, the fluoride that just got, as of July 1st, no more fluoride in the water. So are you keeping track with some of that Florida legislation and staying up on it?
Yeah, checking daily, seeing what's going on. They're still working. They can't agree to a budget right now, so they're probably going to be in it until July at least. I'm assuming. I don't know, but hopefully, that just shows you that not all Republicans are going to be on the same bandwagon. They're going to do what's right for their area or what they believe is best.
Mm-hmm.
I think the House is really pushing back on on the no property tax or doing a sales tax. So they're probably not going to budge. Just hearing what's coming down the pipe. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So
yeah, have you been keeping track on Trump and this big, great, beautiful bill that's out there?
yes.
Is it today that they're supposed to vote on it, or is it next Monday?
You know what? I'm not sure if they're voting on it today or not. I haven't really looked at anything. I've been traveling today, so
Yes, you're in Texas.
Yes, I am. Yeah, have a family event here, so but it's going to pass, and there's a lot of great things in there. So it's really nice to see real stuff getting passed now. So not just things that don't really matter to most of us anyways.
Right.
These are real solid policies that are going to be in place moving forward. So I'm excited. Hopefully they pass first time right out the gate.
So Jason, 15 seconds, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and how they can contribute and what anything else that you want to throw in there.
Well, I am in need of your support. To be your voice, I need your support. Any volunteers, any financial donations, we need it all. So you can reach me at the address below. You can also reach me at voelz4fl@gmail.com and or my website, voelz, the number 4, fl.com.
All right. Thank you, Jason. You have a good evening.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us here at Binford Chronicles. Remember, we're coming up to 2026 election season. It's coming. It's right around the corner. There's a lot of topics to talk about. There's a lot of candidates that are going to be on the ballot. If you want your candidate on Binford Chronicles, let us know, and we'll get a hold of them. Please try to vet every candidate. Try not to do favorites. We need some change and circulation in the office. If you've been fed up with how elections have been, we've watched elections throughout the state of Florida. We still have Democrats trying to take over Florida. We need to work hard together. We need to be educated. And that's why Binford Chronicles is bringing you the candidates. So join us at our next, hit the like, subscribe button. And every time I go live, you'll be notified. So join us on Facebook, Rumble, X, and YouTube. And thank you again for joining us.